starts now.
Baby, it's cold outside. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. Not everywhere, but it's dangerously cold in a lot of the country with a lot of snow on top of that. Live in New York, here's Fox's Tanya J. Powers.
Well, Chris, the white Christmas for people in the Northeast and Midwest brought blizzard conditions and bitter cold. A blizzard warning was issued yesterday for parts of Maine and New Hampshire, with forecasters warning that up to 10 inches of snow and wind gusts could make travel there almost impossible. Devontae Swanson's in Chicago.
You just prepare with your coat, your mittens, and your muffs, everything you need to take care of.
Usually rainy Portland, Oregon saw snow on Christmas for the first time since 1884. Minnesota had its coldest Christmas day since 1996. Wind chills as cold as 35 below, Chris.
Tanya, thanks. President Trump staying warm in Florida, tweeting about Obamacare this morning. Based on the fact that the very unfair and unpopular individual mandate has been terminated as part of our tax cut bill, which essentially repeals overtime Obamacare, the Democrats and Republicans will eventually come together and develop a great new health care plan. Something else the presidents wanted, less money for the United Nations. More on that from Fox's Rachel Sutherland in Washington.
Chris, the U.S. mission to the United Nations says the UN's biennial budget is being cut by more than $285 million. Reductions also being made in the UN's management and support functions. U.S. Ambassador to the UN Nikki Haley calls the budget cut a step in the right direction and that the generosity of the American people will no longer be taken advantage of. The announcement of the budget cut comes amid controversy over President Trump's decision to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. Chris?
Rachel Sutherland in D.C., thanks. A British woman is sentenced to 3 years in prison in Egypt, convicted of smuggling hundreds of painkillers, tramadol. It's banned there. Laura Plummer says she's innocent. She says the pills were for her Egyptian boyfriend's chronic back pain, and she did not know that they were illegal. Her lawyers have already filed an appeal. Fox News. Fair and balanced.
I'm Jay Farner from Quicken Loans. The rate today on a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.875%, APR 4.05%. But choosing the right mortgage lender involves so much more than just a rate. Only Quicken Loans has earned 11 J.D. Power Awards. No other lender comes close to that level of client satisfaction. And we invented Rocket Mortgage. It gives our clients a simpler, hassle-free way to get a mortgage completely online in minutes. No one else has anything like it. And our people. Each one of our 17,000-plus team members throughout Detroit, Cleveland, and Phoenix provides absolute client satisfaction each and every day. So why would you go anywhere else to get your mortgage? Go to America's #1 online lender. Call Quicken Loans today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com for the best mortgage experience on earth. That's 800-QUICKEN.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
New Jersey's Safe Haven law, which allows individuals to drop off unwanted infants at designated sites throughout the state, has seen just 2 surrenders in 2016 and 2 so far in 2017.
We think that, we've been fortunate over the last several years to be able to develop a pretty extensive array or network of community supports for young families.
New Jersey Department of Children and Families Commissioner Allison Blake says in years with a low number of surrenders, the hope is that these families are accessing services and feel able to ensure the well-being of their children. There were fears it might be called off, then an 11th hour assist, then Mother Nature had her final say anyway. The annual Christmas crossing of the Delaware by George Washington and other colonial reenactors was canceled yesterday due to high winds. The U.S. House pushed a bill through this month to try and prevent another case like Shaneen Allen, the PA mom pardoned by Governor Christie. It would allow concealed carry permit holders in one state to carry in other states where concealed weapons are allowed. I'm Patrick Lavery. This is the Town Square News Network.
What are you thankful for?
I'm thankful for life.
I'm thankful for my family.
I'm thankful for hope.
I'm thankful to be able to give and receive love.
I'm thankful to be here today.
I'm thankful that I'm alive and I have a second chance.
I'm thankful that I'm still alive.
I'm thankful to be able to help people who are struggling with addiction.
I'm thankful for all those who have helped me along the way.
I'm thankful that addiction is treatable and that help is available.
I'm thankful that I'm in recovery.
This is Governor Chris Christie. New Jersey is facing a heroin epidemic fueled by highly addictive opioid painkillers. But addiction help is within reach and recovery is possible. The holidays are a time for us to come together. Reach out to someone that is struggling with the disease of addiction. This holiday season, if you or someone you love is struggling with addiction, I want you to know we are here for you. Choose help. Call 844-REACH-NJ or visit reachnj.gov. Again, call 844-REACH-NJ or visit reachnj.gov.
Think warm thoughts. Thermometers across New Jersey today limited to the lower 30s. We might hit the freezing mark today. That might also be the last time that happens for the year. Sunny and dry with a continuing brisk wind today, too. Clear, calm, and very cold tonight. Lows in the mid-teens. Even colder tomorrow. Highs mid to upper 20s with clouds in the morning, then mostly sunny and breezy by the afternoon. Thursday looks absolutely frigid despite sunshine. High temperatures, the highest it will get, only in the lower to mid-20s on Thursday. I'm meteorologist Dan Zero.
From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame.
I want to congratulate my friend, Harry Hurley.
You're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 104.1.
Hey, thanks very much. 6 minutes past the hour. Ladies and gentlemen, the hardest working man in his field, Chuck Malamut, is here. The official, the exclusive financial advisor for the Hurley in the Morning program for 26 years. We begin our 27th year together on Tuesday, January 2nd, when Chuck will be in studio the day after New Year's Day. Chuck is the managing director. He leads his team, the Malamut Group, at Morgan Stanley's Northfield, New Jersey office. To reach Chuck for all of your financial planning needs, to learn his concept of total asset management, coupled with the all-important asset allocation, 609-383-2010. This program is presented by Chuck Malamut, a financial advisor at Morgan Stanley. The information, views, and opinions expressed on this broadcast are those of Chuck Malamut and do not necessarily reflect those of Morgan Stanley or its affiliates. They are current as of the date of this broadcast and are subject to change without notice. Neither the information provided nor any opinion expressed herein constitutes a solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security. This presentation is for informational purposes only. Morgan Stanley, Smith Barney, member SIPC. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting one of the most listenable programs in all of talk radio, Chuck Malamut.
Good morning, Harry.
Merry Christmas, Chuck.
We can say Merry Christmas now.
Oh, yeah.
So we don't think we can. It was just a little different this year, I guess.
I never stopped.
Compared to years past, where you...
It was politically incorrect.
Correct. So,
but it's back. Christmas is back. Chuck, this is hard to process because I think this is one of the fastest years of my life. You disagreed a few months ago when I made that comment, but I still think it really flew by. And Chuck, this is our year in review program.
So, yeah, Harry, it was...
what a year.
The year was nothing short of miraculous. I mean, if anyone could say in the beginning of this past year that we would see the kinds of returns that we booked, not only domestically but also internationally, I think you would probably scratch your head and say there's absolutely no way you're going to be correct making those assumptions.
Chuck, is it sort of, I don't even think this is even close, but to me it's sort of like if you're a financial advisor, this was like winning the Super Bowl this year. Then some.
Harry, it was to a certain degree, certainly for our our clients and your listeners that spend a fair amount of time either planning for their retirement or are in retirement, because I'm going to say the majority of our relationships, we, as a client was, doing an annual or monthly drawdown, that the asset appreciated far beyond what those drawdowns were. And, that just, helps move forward the probability of success, or it increases the probability of success, where maybe a client, prospective client, had a 75% probability of success, and we put the year in of retirement, and we go ahead and book the kind of year that we just had, that probability of success. And again, I'm just throwing numbers here because everybody's circumstances are different. That probability of success moved at anywhere from 3 to 5 percentage points, Chuck, and that's a big move.
This is going to sound rude, and I don't mean it rude, but wouldn't you actually, not you, but wouldn't you have to work really hard in 2017 to lose?
No, because Harry,
Just making the wrong choices?
It's like anything else. If you have the incorrect asset allocation, if you are overweight in the wrong sectors, and you have the wrong, if you own individual stocks and you own the wrong stocks in those sectors, then it could go the wrong way. So it's like anything else. It's just a matter of.
But if you have proper asset allocation, 2017 was a winning proposition.
Being diversified, equities clearly outpaced fixed income. Municipals did better than corporates. So when you take a look at what happened, obviously we have a few days left. And for those listeners that haven't done their tax planning, you really need to get on it, because you're going to be, I think if you own some of the large cap growth, mid cap growth, small cap growth funds per se, there were some that paid out some very, very substantial capital gain distributions. So, if you're not paying attention, come April, you're going to get a little bit of a shock from your, if you do your taxes yourself, or from your accountant or whoever your advisor is, because you're going to say, "Oh my goodness, I should have planned if I could have planned." But so when you take a look at sort of like looking back here, Harry, I think maybe we'll just get out of order here for a second. The Dow Jones closed its record highs 70 times in 2017. And that's obviously a record number of closes. The previous record was 69 that we put in place in 1995. The NASDAQ, which closed above 7,000 for the first time, had 72 closing highs, surpassing the 1980 record that was put in place at 62. And the S&P 500 posted a record close only on 62 occasions, Harry. So I guess they were maybe the laggard of the group. Again, the record there was 77 record highs. It was placed, in 1995. So when you put that on top of what is happening, as I mentioned to you, previously with the emerging markets, and the MSCI EFA, the developed international countries. I mean, imagine you're up 33%, in the emerging markets, and there's absolutely no way. I didn't hear any strategists make that call at the end of last year.
One quick comment with a disclaimer: your show is never about politics, but I want to make a little mention. 1995, no accident. We had split government, but we had, and I mean at the federal level, but we had federal government at the executive branch and the legislative branch that really did work well with each other. And of course, there were cats and dogs and impeachment stuff and all this other stuff in that era. But 95 was a year, I remember it well, when Republicans had the majority in the House and the Senate. President Clinton was in office, Democrat, and they worked together. And I think it's not an accident what you just said that took place. So we should take note of that.
And obviously a victory lap. And and the question is, Harry, now that the bar has been is raised so high, what are we expecting to get the same types of returns that were just booked in 2017? I'm not going to make that prediction yet. I think I'm going to wait to the end of quote the year, and as we chat next week or the week after, we can get into it. But I will say I think I don't think I'm going to say anything is going to surprise your listeners, but I think it's kind of doubtful that we're going to have again the same types of returns that we had in 18 that we had in 17.
It'd be a lot to ask. I mean, to be up 30%, you have to be up 30%. On top of being up 30% the year before. So that's very challenging. Chuck, let's get the first break in. One other quick note I want to mention. 1995 was when the Republicans took control of Congress, in particular the House of Representatives, because they had the Senate for a year or two when President Reagan was in office, but very short period. But Republicans, and that was the Lobiondo class, almost a quarter of a century ago, where Republicans took control of Congress, of the House of Representatives for the first time in 40 years at that point. And 1995, with that contract with America, that was a gangbusters year. But I want to give credit where credit's due. There was not an obstructionist Democratic president stopping progress. He signed everything, which really you don't see happening anymore. Whether it was the Obama years with Obamacare, one party jamming it through, or the year of tax reform and tax cuts and the Job Act. So if we go back to 1995, where split government actually worked well together, it's no accident that we can do great things in America. 15 minutes past the hour. Chuck Malamut continues about your financial matters. 609-383-2010. You can reach Chuck for all of your financial planning needs. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Paul D'Amato.
Harry Hurley.
Paul, I know our listeners want to know what's new with the D'Amato Law Firm.
Things are great, Harry. We are so privileged to represent our clients whose lives have been turned upside down because they were involved in a serious accident. We meet on a regular basis. We copy our clients on all our correspondence so they always know what's going on with their case. We try to treat them like family. We have Alexa here, my daughter. I'm so happy that she's here. We have Steve Van Natten and Casey Gifford. We're a great legal team.
They're the D'Amato Law Firm for all of your personal injury legal needs. Turn to the official lead counsel to the Hurley in the Morning program for more than a quarter of a century. The D'Amato Law Firm in Egg Harbor Township, 609-926-3300. That's 609-926-3300. Tell Paul, Alexa, Sandy, the entire team that Hurley in the Morning sent you.
You want the dealer that will treat you right. The people you know are the people you like.
This time of year is all about family, and we'd like you to be a part of ours. So for a limited time, our Chevy employee discount is now available to everyone. That's right, you pay what we pay and not a cent more. It's our way of saying Merry Christmas and welcome to the family, the Gentilini Chevrolet family. You can use your employee discount for everyone to get a total value of over $9,000 off MSRP on a 2017 Silverado 1500 LT with the All-Star package. Plus, if you trade up, you get an additional $2,000 cash allowance, giving you a total savings of over $11,000. Find new roads in a Chevy from Gentilini Motors, located at 500 John S. Penn Boulevard, next to the airport in Woodbine, New Jersey.
Just a short drive from anywhere. Gentilini Family Motors.
What's your kind of fun? Is it award-winning dining and live music and frozen drinks at Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville and all the above? Find your fun at Resorts Casino Hotel in Atlantic City. More at resortsac.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And now there are even more reasons to get in on all the fun with free parking 7 days a week. Grab a space in our conveniently located self-parking lot or garage for free when you visit Resorts Casino Hotel. Go to resortsac.com for more details.
Have pain you can't ignore? Then try first-in-class relief from Salonpas. Salonpas pain relief patches have everything you need in one clinically proven solution. They're the strongest label pain reliever available without a prescription, safely relieving pain for up to 12 hours. And Salonpas is the first and only FDA-approved OTC topical pain reliever. For first-in-class relief, get Salonpas pain relief patches in the green box with a blue wave.
Show them your love, show them you care. Gifts sent as cash, your gift gets there. Come to a store, their hearts will soar. Best gift is cash, gifts they'll adore.
Get your gifting needs wrapped up today with Western Union. For $5, send up to $50 for pickup at over 43,000 U.S. agent locations. This is sending the best gift of all. This is Western Union. Fees and taxes may vary by brand, channel, and location and are subject to change without notice. NMLS 906983.
Hi, it's Mark Levin. Join me at 6 this evening. Now back to the Mayor of the Morning, Harry Hurley, on WPG Talk Radio 104.1, South Jersey's talk station.
We're back, Chuck Malamut, with your financial matters. Chuck, time is yours.
So, Harry, let's take a step back and kind of take a look at what happened last week. And we had a few other points, and then we can kind of maybe chat about the year in review, assuming we have enough time. And if not, we can save it for next week because we're still in that year-end mode. Slightly up U.S. equities last week. Energy materials were led the way. Utilities, real estate lagged. And you think about real estate and what's happening with tax reform, it makes sense that that was a sector that did not perform. As you know, Congress did put that stopgap measure in place, funded the government through January 19, so I guess we'll kick the can down the road for, the better part of another month. The, global equities, along with U.S. equities, were pretty much little changed. But here's what happened, Harry. If you look at the 10-year Treasury, it made a pretty substantial move in a week. We were at 2.36, and we closed the week out at 2.49. So it's about 1/8 of 1%, or 12.5, 13 basis points, and that was. The reason the bond market moved like it did, it was because of the passage of the tax reform bill, because it's going to allegedly provide the stimulus starting in 2018. In the meantime, if you look at crude, crude did increase 75 basis points, but the good news is we're really not seeing it at the price of the pump. The price of the pump, I think for the last 3 or 4 weeks, we've actually been seeing some prices either remaining the same or moving down ever so slightly.
Chuck, let's do a quick sidebar on this tax reform and Jobs Act, because I don't know if you were listening to the program early this morning. I mentioned you probably 3 or 4 times because I agree with your assessment. There are states in the Northeast, states on the West Coast, and probably a few others that will be adversely affected by this. But I don't think there's any question that I have a list of 18 companies that are paying $1,000 bonuses before the end of this year, all of them, and I guess that's on purpose. The $15 minimum wage that in many instances becomes an issue, a negative issue. Here it's voluntarily happening, people going from 12 to 15, one going to 15 and a quarter even, one major company. But there's all these companies, Chuck, that because of the Tax Reform and Jobs Act, and others are promising hundreds of millions of dollars of infrastructure improvements and so on, this is already doing some good things.
So, Harry, the passage of the bill sort of set a wave with respect to announcements that were made last week as we got into the Christmas weekend. AT&T, Wells Fargo, Comcast, either wage hikes, investing into the business, or employee bonuses, and also left out Bank of America as well. I believe it was either 125 or 175,000 employees were getting
145.
145.
100,
so,
yep, $1,000 each. Also PNC, and this one that I never heard of before. This all started was Fifth Third Bancorp. They're still they're large cap, Harry. They're based more in the South, and they're doing $15 minimum wage. And they're kicking in $1,000 bonuses for 13,000 employees. Do you agree or disagree that these would not be taking place without this legislation?
Well, I think it's pretty obvious. Without the legislation, these wage increases and these bonuses would not be happening. I don't think anyone would think otherwise.
What do you say to SALT then, state and local taxes, where some of us?
Well, we kind of chatted about that last week.
Yeah.
So if you take a look at the demographics of our country, currently there are 4 states, virtually not control. 4 states have 1/3 of the population that we have here, throughout the U.S. And those states include New York, Florida. California, and I believe Texas. I'm trying to get my hands on the actual states.
So actually, Texas is going to get hurt by this.
Actually, no. Let me back up.
Yeah, because they have low taxes.
Let me give it to you right. So there's 323 million people that live in this country. That was as of the beginning of this year. 1 out of every 3 Americans lives in 4 states, one of 4 states. California, Texas, Florida, New York.
You got it right. 2
of those 4 states, higher tax rated states. So those states ended up domiciling 107.5 million citizens at the end of 2016. So kind of put it in perspective, Harry, think about, one, and again, I don't have the actual population breakdown by state, but let's, for purposes of this discussion, say that equally populated. So think about, 1/6 of the country are in 2 very, very high tax states, that being California, New York. We have, taken into Connecticut, New Jersey,
probably Massachusetts, Illinois for sure.
Okay, so as a result of SALT, and I mean, you've heard all kinds of discussions about, how this is going to, help the country. The economy will get better. I think the big concern that all of us have, whether, financial advisors or individual taxpayers, is the fact that, corporations, which a lot of corporations had significant dollars, cash on the balance sheets, trying to find a home for it, are now going to have more cash.
Explain
their
how
earnings
fast,
will
Chuck,
increase.
Explain how fast, Chuck Malamut, $10,000, which we're capped at now in terms of state and local taxes, your property taxes, it's going to hurt a lot of people in the states that you've mentioned.
So the standard deduction increases from, basically doubles.
From like 12 to 24,000.
From 13,000 to 24,000. If you're married, 12,000 if you're single. A lot of the unreimbursed business expenses, including moving expenses, have fallen by the wayside. It doesn't take much to get to $10,000 in state and property taxes. Think about, what your property taxes are right now in EHD. And I look at Galloway, and it's no different, throughout the state. And actually, I think we are, I don't want to use the word lucky, because we're not lucky, but on a comparative basis, it's certainly a lot less expensive to live here than it is in North Jersey.
But there are a lot of people that their taxes, property taxes alone, are significantly more than $10,000.
Yeah, so you think about.
So now you get the first 10,000.
You get the first 10. The deduction, the standard deduction, goes from 12 to 24. Again, the unreimbursed business expenses goes away. It's the majority of the people, I think, in the higher tax states are going to take it in the neck here a little bit. And there's all the political conversations. There's all the political conversations. Yeah. Well, this was done because they're blue states, and the Republicans are going to. Well, not Texas, yeah. but with SALT being enacted, we're going to get them. We're going to get California. We're going to get New York. We're going to get New Jersey. We're going to teach them a lesson. Because they didn't vote, they weren't on our side of the ledger.
But you don't want to get Florida because the math starts to run out. I'm not going to buy that, even though it's mostly true. What I was going to say was, out of 323 million Americans, how many would you say do not get a tax decrease?
What I'd seen, Harry, anywhere from 12 to 15%. Not only a tax. Not do you not only get a tax decrease, you get a tax increase.
Yes.
Now, I think it's pretty disingenuous to tax the W-2 wage earners in an effort to support corporate America. It should actually be, I think, somewhat reversed, because the economy of scale is, all right, we're going to put more money in your pocket, so you're going to help, you'll spend it, and what you earn $1 in a corporation, you spend $5 of it outside. But as as it gets through the rotation of the economy, but I'm real curious a year from now or 15 months from now when you do your 2018 tax returns, what the end result is, because
after the midterm election.
Well, but think about, and I read when Reagan put his tax act together, it took almost 3 years to get it from start to finish.
And Republicans got smoked in that midterm election.
And what happened? So now this bill got pushed very, very quickly, and you think about 2026, I believe, everything rolls back to where we were.
But yet you lose all the other things.
You lose the deductions, yeah. So, and again, you don't know what to believe because you hear and you read and and you talk to a lot of people. But from what is being advertised is that only 1/3 of the country is in favor of what was just signed.
I believe that because it's gotten a lot of bad publicity. Ultimately, I think more people will be in favor of it than that. But this is very common, though. When Reagan did, what he did, it was even less popular than this.
So here's what happened, and we'll talk for another minute about
and then we'll go to break.
About SALT. On December 22nd, an executive order was issued and signed by Governor Cuomo. And he signed an emergency executive order that allows New Yorkers to prepay next year's property taxes.
I saw that.
This year before the tax law takes effect. Payments must be postmarked by December 31. The order authorizes local municipalities to issue warrants for the collections of early property tax payments and to accept partial payment, allowing New Yorkers to pay a portion or all of their 2018 property taxes before the end of the year to keep the deductibility. So Cuomo's saying, okay, even though you don't have the final bill, you can prepay the entire year. Jersey, I haven't heard anything from Jersey other than getting the 2 stubs. You can pay first and second quarter and then sort of take your chances with respect to Q3 and Q4. But I wouldn't be at all surprised if New Jersey follows suit. But again, today is December 26th, and you don't have a lot of days to get.
And there are also a lot of people that don't have the money to pay.
Yes, this is true.
So it's a nice offer.
But if you can afford to, you figure you're going to save 20 to 35 cents on the dollar. If you can take those deductions this year,
gives you one more year
in 17, because in 18 they're going to go away.
And see you in 19, because you can't prepay in 19.
Correct.
It's over at that point. We'll be right back. Chuck Malamut is here. Your financial matters being discussed, and for all of your financial planning needs, turn to Chuck Malamut, the official, the exclusive financial advisor for the Hurley in the Morning program for the past 26 years. 609-383-2010 is Chuck's phone number, 609-383-2010.
WPG Talk Radio 104.1 would like to introduce you to the newest member of New Jersey's largest radio news team. You. Download the new WPG Talk Radio app for your Droid or iPhone, and when you see breaking news, take a picture or record video of the event and send it to us through the WPG Talk Radio app. It's yet another way South Jersey's talk station keeps you informed. Download the new WPG Talk Radio app through WPGTalkRadio.com.
Visit Bob's Little Sports Shop on Delsey Drive in Glassboro or at bobslittle.sportshop.com. Hit your target with Bob's Little Sports Shop. Call 856-881-7575 or go to bobslittle.sportshop.com.
This is Harry Hurley, and I'm with the Mayor, Charles Kane, owner and operator of the Auto Plaza, Egg Harbor Township. Mayor, tell your listeners who are looking for a car, why should they choose the Auto Plaza?
Harry, it's our full-service department, selection, and hassle-free financing alternatives that have set us apart for over 17 years. Over the years, we've been the recipient of many sales and service awards, as well as receiving an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau. It's been a real honor for us. We are now serving a second generation of sales and service customers. Stop in today. You're going to love our staff and experience what makes us different.
For all of your automobile service, parts, and sales needs, call the Auto Plaza at 609-646-2447. That's 609-646-2447. And visit us on the World Wide Web at myautoplaza.com.
The Auto Plaza at English Creek. Roll with Mr. Tire.
Stuck in an expensive timeshare contract and feel like there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO of Wesley Financial Group. I've helped thousands of people get rid of their timeshares.
I didn't realize what I was getting into. The whole thing was just a scam. I finally found information on Chuck, and he agreed to meet us. It was just a wonderful experience because he knows that business inside out, and he actually wanted to solve our problem.
I fought the largest timeshare company in federal court, and yes, I won. Whether you owe $10,000 to $250,000 on your timeshare, we can help cancel your mortgage. When you're approved as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare, eliminate your payments, and get them off of your back permanently. And we proudly hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau.
Call Wesley Financial Group now for your free consultation at 800-478-7733. That's 800-478-7733. 800-478-7733.
Join Mark Patrick Hypnosis and stop smoking now without cravings, irritability, weight gain, or your money back.
I used to smoke 1 to 2 packs of cigarette a day. I have to tell you, I had no cravings.
No weight gain, no problem.
I quit in one night.
I don't smoke. Take it from me, it works.
I recommend it to everyone.
I feel fantastic.
Only $49.99 guaranteed. Because don't just cut down, but stop smoking now once and for all. In addition, lose all the weight you want 100% guaranteed with Mark Patrick Hypnosis. Destroy unwanted cravings, late-day eating binges, boredom eating, and stress eating. Join the over 500,000 others who have attended and lost weight the Mark Patrick way. Seminars are Sunday, January 21st at the Absecon Holiday Inn Express and Suites Hotel. Weight loss seminar 11 to 1. Stop smoking seminar 2 to 4. And Monday, January 22nd at the Vineland Wingate by Wyndham Hotel. Weight loss seminar 5:30 to 7:30. Stop smoking seminar 8 to 10. More information at markpatrickseminars.com. That's markpatrickseminars.com.
Hey, wake up with Harry Hurley and drive home with me, Sean Hannity, 3 to 6. It's all happening here on WPG Talk Radio 104.1.
36 minutes past the hour. Welcome back to WPG Talk Radio 104.1, 1450 AM. And please, if you haven't done it yet, our WPG Talk Radio app is incredible. Free download, solely dedicated to WPG. One push of a button, you literally have the entire radio station and you have the entire website, WPGTalkRadio.com. You can call the program just by pushing the button. Literally, you won't even have to dial the number anymore. So do download that, and it'll put it right on your home screen. We're visiting with Chuck Malamut, leader of the Malamut Group at Morgan Stanley's Northfield, New Jersey office. 609-383-2010, the number for all of your financial planning needs. 609-383-2010. Chuck.
So, Harry, one of the items on the docket today was chat about 529s.
Yep.
And how they are being impacted with tax reform.
How are they?
Well, believe it or not, only 36%. I'm going to take a step back here. Only 36% of the jobs that are in the U.S. right now require an education beyond high school. In other words, 64% of American jobs require a high school diploma or less. 27% of jobs do not require any formal education. Now, so here's what happened with tax reform. If you remember, 529 accounts were set up years ago. Specifically, the proceeds of the accounts were used for higher education, college, room, tuition, books, board, any cost associated with college. Now, what has happened, that has been rolled back pretty significantly, where going forward in 2018, in a 529 plan, up to $10,000 per year per student can be used for tuition in connection with enrollment or attending elementary, secondary public, private, or religious school. Now, that particular piece of the legislation does not expire in 2025. So the handcuffs have come off a little bit with respect to 529s.
Good.
But think about this for a second. It is counterintuitive to what I'll call long-term investing. Mm-hmm. If you take a look at the average rate of return in a balanced account over the last 20, 25 years, it's going to probably average, call it 7%. And that was even inclusive of what was happening with the Great Recession. And if you go back and you look at a lot of these accounts that were created and funded, and as these students have matriculated and are now through college, a lot of the value of the account was because of the time spent in the market. You gave the account the ability to be invested for 15, 18 years, assuming you started as a new, the grandparent or the parent started funding these accounts as a newborn, all the way up until, the child goes to high school or goes through college. Now, if it's great that you can get into the account earlier, but think about what the potential impact could be, taking that money off the table, so to speak, when a child is entering, private school, or a religious school at the age of 8 or 10, for instance.
Question, Chuck. Do you see a difference to circa 2017 versus a generation and even 2 generations ago, where you used to be able to take out a relatively manageable amount of money, and at the end of this 18 years or whenever, you always recommended start it right away. When you find out you're having a baby, start now. Even before the baby's born, you get that nearly first 9 months, a year, under your belt. And then you have 18 or 19 years of savings. And, of course, you're not using it all at once, so it's continuing to grow. But have you found that now with the just outrageous prices that you almost can't save enough anymore?
It's certainly getting more challenging. And this goes back, and we're going to get completely off track here for a second, but I think it's okay.
Yeah.
We have had numerous discussions regarding, that three-legged stool and what could potentially cause havoc in our economy.
Yep.
And you had mentioned, and we agreed, and we did a fair amount of research, is the amount of outstanding debt,
school debt,
as it's
bubble.
And so now you think about what has happened with the colleges and universities.
By the way, there's also many of them in default right now.
Yeah, but what happens is think about, you virtually have an open checkbook, and you can because the federal government was funding a lot of these loans. The universities virtually had the ability to just going to raise our rates by 3-5% per year.
For those of you that don't know or forgot or whatever, just don't give it any thought, it was like the ninja, no income, no jobs, and you would get the mortgage, of your dreams, and with no means to make the first mortgage payment when it comes due 30 days later. With the college, whether it's parent plus loans or the student, if all your bills are paid on time, there was no debt to equity ratio. You just borrowed whatever you wanted. Pretty dangerous.
And here's what I find very, very interesting, Harry. We have a piece of software that we use projecting college costs, and it's like any software. It defaults to a number, and you pull like a Rutgers University today, room tuition, books, board, $26,000-$30,000 per year as an in-state resident. The average increase defaults to 5%. So the system or the program, the software that we're using, and this is not just applicable to Morgan Stanley. I mean, it's a piece of software that is can be used in various financial services firms, but I find it interesting that the default is 5. So that's what college costs have increased by over the course of the last decade. So think about, you fund the account today. You can, you dollar cost average, you keep adding to it, what's your goal that you need to ascertain on the back end. And then all of a sudden now it's like, geez, I have the opportunity to take the money earlier than higher education. What is that going to potentially do to the additional savings that you need, or the value of the account when it's time for college?
It's a great question. It's a great point. Chuck, can you do an extra bonus segment today, or do you have to get in?
We can do a few minutes.
Good. We'll come right back. Chuck Malamut continues.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff, brought to you by Curexa Specialty Compounding Pharmacy and Newkirk Family Veterinarians.
Over the next week or so, most of us will be around lots of people sharing holiday greetings and, sadly, lots of germs. While we don't want to be a germaphobe, we do want to stay healthy. So after all the handshakes, hugs, and kisses, it wouldn't be a bad idea to wash your hands as well as the area around your nose and mouth with warm, soapy water. Wash for at least 20 seconds or the time it takes to sing happy birthday twice. Now, contrary to what Grandma has told us, we can't catch a cold from cold weather. In order to get a cold, we need to be exposed to a cold virus. But Grandma was not completely wrong. Some studies show that the cold virus spreads more quickly in colder air, and colder air may also irritate conditions we already have, like asthma, which could make us more susceptible to a cold.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff, brought to you by Curexa, when your medication needs to be as special as you. And Newkirk Family Vets, serving South Jersey pets for over 3 decades.
It's the end of the year sales event happening at Team Nissan in Vineland. Now through January 1st, we have 2017 Rogues, Titans, Ultimas, and Sentras in stock, and they all have to go. And don't forget, this is the best time to lease or buy a new car. Stop by our brand new showroom today and make it a happy new year, or go to teamnissan.com. Team Nissan, 1715 South Delsea Drive in Vineland. Go team!
You want the dealer that will treat you right. The people you know are the people you like.
The Ford year-end event is in full swing on America's best-selling brand. Now is the time to take advantage of incredible holiday season deals at Gentilini Ford. Come in and get 0% financing for up to 72 months, plus an additional $1,000 year-end bonus cash across a full line of 2017 Ford cars, SUVs, and trucks. Like America's #1 selling truck for over 40 years, the built Ford Tough F-150. This time of year is all about family, and we'd like you to be a part of ours. The year-end event is our way of saying Merry Christmas and welcome to the family, the Gentilini Ford family. Go further in a Ford from Gentilini Motors, located at 555 John S. Penn Boulevard, next to the airport in Woodbine, New Jersey. Just a short drive from anywhere.
Just a short drive from anywhere. Gentilini Family Motors.
Kiddabaloo 2018 is coming to Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City Saturday, March 10th. Purchase your VIP tickets to receive early entry, lunch, and a front-of-the-line photo op with Lizzie Green, Dawn from Nickelodeon's Nikki, Ricky, Dickie, and Dawn. Kiddabaloo has laser tag, moon bounces, magic, pony rides, an indoor racetrack, and Lizzie Green, Dawn from Nickelodeon's Nikki, Ricky, Dickie, and Dawn. Kiddabaloo 2018, Saturday, March 10th. Tickets and VIP packages are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com.
Hi, this is Assemblyman Chris Brown. Join me on WPG each month to talk about the issues important to you and our hard-working families in Atlantic County. This is Assemblyman Chris Brown, and now back to my friend Harry Hurley.
Thank you and welcome back. It's Hurley in the Morning with a bonus segment with Chuck Malamut, the official financial advisor for the Hurley in the Morning program, 609-383-2010. And the reason I called out if Chuck would do some bonus time, I mean, we still have GDP and jobs. We have, a few other things that we want to cover with Chuck. Was there anything about 529 accounts?
Yeah, but since we're on tax reform, let me cover one other thing, and I think your listeners might not be aware of this, and that's with respect to there's been a lot of discussion about mortgage deductible interest. It was decreased from $1 million mortgage where you can write down the interest to $750,000. Now, that is not going to impact a lot of us, which is good, but here's what will be impacted: home equity lines.
By the way, when you say $750,000, that would still be somebody that has a McMansion or something. They get the first $750,000.
Well, yeah, and here's what happens if you're grandfathered in. So if you buy and think about what the impact could be here with real estate.
Even if you refi, you stay grandfathered.
So allegedly.
Fair enough.
Now, with real estate purchases, this can get a little difficult, because you can no longer deduct that additional interest. But I think
don't ever move.
But I think I think without a lot of fanfare, what happened in here, the interest on a HELOC, a home equity line of credit, is no longer deductible. So you have to be able to prove, for instance, if you took $50,000 off your home equity line and you did it for home improvements, and you can show that I believe that will be a deductible expense. If you took the $50,000 to pay for education for your son or your daughters, you can't deduct it now on a go-forward basis. So think about all these little nuances that you really aren't familiar with. And this is going to be a very, very, I think, challenging year as we get through and clearly understand, tax reform. The fact they jammed it through as quickly as they did, I think there's a lot to be said for that.
It's very interesting, and I think a lot of people don't realize yet, because we have not had any type of comprehensive tax reform since 31 years ago, since the 1980s, and you know what's going to happen. Certain things have been written a certain way. There will be surprises we don't know about yet.
There's going to be.
You know how that works.
Unfortunately, Harry, there's going to be a lot of surprises. So let's talk a little bit about jobs, all right? And this is probably one of your favorite topics. We've talked about GDP growth, where it is. Is it 3%? Is it 4%? The president, what I think he was articulating the other day, he was envisioning a 6% GDP growth. I think the job market right now is pretty tight when you look at the unemployment number. But each 0.1%, so moving from say 3 to 3.1% in GDP, ultimately translates into 80,000 new jobs being created in our country.
Wow.
So think about for a second, if you're able to move that needle 100 basis points or move it from 3 to 4, that's 800,000 new jobs, Harry. Think about what the impact could potentially be with wages and how tight the workforce would be at that point in time.
Excellent data, Chuck. How about GDP?
So, GDP is, 3, 4. I mean, I think those numbers are obviously very achievable for, as we get into next year. And obviously, the Tax Act was created to increase GDP. I think 6% is a bit of a stretch. But in anybody's guess, we won't know that. We won't know that for another 12 to 18 months, Harry. So
it's been solid though, and what's going to be interesting to see is, I remember saying we would definitely get to 3, and we did. It'll be interesting to see even though obviously you've made a very objective, fair accounting of how some will be adversely affected by the tax reform / Jobs Act. It's going to be interesting to see what that actually will mean for GDP.
So let's take a step back and kind of look at what we talked about in 2017. And I think, and I'm going to bring you more information 18 as we get to the end of the year. So we talked about, U.S. global growth improving modestly. U.S. dollar strengthens and reaches parity with the euro. So we went off. We started with a slow start. The economy did in fact pick up here noticeably in the U.S. Global growth, as we talked about this, Harry, was moving at the same time with strengths coming from Europe and China. However, the dollar lost value versus the euro. I think no one had anticipated that was going to happen. The next item that we chatted about was unemployment. Dropping to its lowest level in 17 years as wages increase at the fastest pace since the Great Recession. Now, that did in fact happen. Unemployment is down to 4.1%, the lowest level we have seen in 17 years. Wages rates have remained somewhat depressed from the Great Recession, but are now starting to climb over the last 12 months to wage growth of about 2.5%. We talked about treasuries and treasury yields moving higher for a third consecutive year. Now, that really did not happen. I mean, the Fed did increase 3 times in 2017, but at the same time, the 10-year Treasury fell sharply, during the fall, but is now rebounded. It's back to a 249, just slightly higher where it began the year, 244. So, I think that, theoretically, I mean, up 5 basis points. Yes, that is correct, but everyone was expecting 3+ as you got into this year. Next prediction: stocks hitting 2017 highs in the first half of the year as earnings increase, but price earnings ratio multiples fall. Earnings did rise during the year, Harry, but stock prices ultimately, were higher throughout the year and continued to post record highs well into the second half of 2017. So I guess that one we did get wrong. Next one, stocks outperform bonds for the 6th year in a row for the first time in 20 years while volatility rises. Yeah, for sure. I mean, stocks handily outpaced bonds in 2017. Volatility, in the meantime, Harry, believe it or not, fell in 2017 with the VIX that we oftentimes look at. Equity volatility falling from 14 to 9.5. I think that was sort of unexpected. Next prediction: small caps, cyclicals, value styles beat large cap, defensive and growth areas. This was partly correct. After lagging most of the year, cyclicals came back in the last several weeks. And are actually now ahead of defensive sectors. However, large cap and growth styles outperform small cap and value. So that kind of goes back to what you said. Well, anybody can make money, in the market. I mean, and you can see that sometimes that's not the case. Next prediction: financials, healthcare, and information technology outperform energy, utilities, and materials. Yeah, that was correct. I mean, a basket of favorite sectors, those 3, financials, healthcare, and information, up about 28%, while a basket of the least favored were actually up about 11%. We have a lot of discussion, Harry, during the year about mutual funds and ETFs and active managers, and one of the predictions that were made was that active managers would outperform the ETFs during the year. And as it turns out, equity outflows actually slowed during 2017. Active managers are now starting to improve. Last year, only 19% of large cap managers outperformed their benchmarks, while so far, as we get to the end of this year, about 50%. So I think you're starting to see that happen. And, lastly, initial optimism about the Trump agenda fades in light of slow legislative progress. So up until a week ago, that was in fact the case. But now, the Trump agenda can take a victory lap as they put tax reform in the books. Now, the next thing they're looking to address is infrastructure. It's
might actually see something quite amazing like bipartisanship on that.
Look, as you know, when you travel, whether it's by air or by land, it's tough. I mean, it's wherever you go. The good news is they're doing construction.
Yeah. We have aging bridges that are beyond the years anyone ever would have believed. We have a lot of infrastructure work to do.
We do, and especially in the airports, for sure. So
that'll be good for the economy, too.
It should be very helpful. So as we get into 2018, there's 2 factors that are going to change: inflation and monetary policy. So inflation's likely to rise during the year. The Fed, they're in that tightening mode. They're talking 3 increases. The current bull market that we've seen, for the last 10 years is going to probably continue into 2018. The gains that we talked about in 2017 were high. No one had predicted this was going to happen. We don't see that happening in 17 or 18. We do expect gains, and we expect more volatility.
Chuck, I know you hear the music playing, so we're out of here in about 30, 40 seconds. Do you think, this is just a wild hunch, but do you think that infrastructure done right, could equal like 1 point GDP by itself.
I think for sure, Harry, maybe even more.
Yeah, that would be terrific.
I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot to be done out there.
I mean, that could get us to 4.5, 5. That would be quite amazing when we talked about the new norm not that long ago. Chuck, as always, thank you, my friend.
Harry, thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for a great year.
Hey, listen, my pleasure. It's been, 26
years.
Wow, amazing. We're aging. We're aging. I'm not sure if gracefully, but we're aging.
We're aging gracefully.
Okay.
For all of your financial planning needs, turn to Chuck Malamut, the exclusive financial advisor for the Hurley in the Morning program. 609-383-2010, 609-383-2010. Mayor Charles Kane on a special day. He's coming up next.
104.1 FM and 1450 AM WPGG Atlantic City. Everything you need to know in 6 minutes starts now.
President Trump says Obamacare is repealed, essentially. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. The president tweeting from Florida this morning. Fox's Rachel Sutherland's live back in D.C.
Chris, the president says Democrats and Republicans will eventually come together to develop a great new health care plan now that the individual mandate has been eliminated through the tax cut bill.
Rachel, okay, the year's almost over. There's something President Trump